Hello there, I'm Carvel's Don't Be the Pumpkin, and I'm here with my friend Nutty the Ghost to introduce a new Carvel ice cream cake for Halloween, Wiki the Witch.
That's right, Dumpy. Our all-made fresh deli at your participating Carvel ice cream store.
And hey, you can send one to a friend by calling this toll-free number, and we honor most major credit cards. And we'd like to thank you for patronizing Carvel. Thanks, folks.
It was a night of terror, and those who survived will never forget Halloween.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Jamie Lee Curtis, the scintillating film sensation, is running for her life in the horror classic of all time, Halloween.
Wednesday night at 8 on Pi.
First time on TV, the movie's most seductive Dracula, starring Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier. Thursday on NBC.
If you would spend $5 for the chance to get scared out of your wits, you're one of millions of Americans who like frightening fun when they go to the movies. Well, today, Jane Hansen begins a special report on scary movies and why they do so well at the box office. We Americans pay millions of dollars a year at the box office to get terrified out of our wits. We love to watch as demons and monsters, wild animals and supernatural creatures devour us mortals in all sorts of abnormal ways. And maybe it's because the heroes and heroines of horror films die such hideous deaths that we feel better about our own mortality.
They show us the death we owe, the death that's going to be inevitable in all of its forms, imagined and unimagined, and they give us a chance for a little while to mock and to laugh and to grin and to get scared over terrible things that are, after all, happening to other people and not ourselves.
Thrills and chills, a simple formula and a successful one for the people who've been making scary movies ever since a sinister villain came out of his coffin at night to stalk his victims in the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. That was back in Germany. The year was 1919, and the idea worked so well that filmmakers in many lands tried it out. They began translating scary stories from the printed page to the motion picture. On both sides of the Atlantic, filmmakers took a stab at recreating the frightening Transylvanian tale of Count Dracula and his insatiable craving for blood.
I am Dracula.
Lon Chaney stunned American audiences with his first film version of The Phantom of the Opera, and a decade later, a mild-mannered man transformed himself on screen into a werewolf. Nearly half a century afterwards, his performance has inspired a score of similar films and gave at least one damsel in distress a tough time on a soundstage playing a werewolf's victim.
I had to stand there and pretend that I was seeing a man turn into a werewolf when I had no idea what the special effects were going to make it look like. And the director, Joe Dante, was standing there going, "Okay, Dee, now his eyes are growing. Whoops, there goes his nose." You know, it's very hard to look terrified in those kind of circumstances.
For years, horror films have been a sinister side of our popular culture. Then in the 50s, along came this man, Alfred Hitchcock, popular to TV audiences with a weekly series of Sunday night shockers, but all of them paled in comparison to a terrifying moment in 1960 in cabin number 1 of the Bates Motel. What effect did Alfred Hitchcock have on horror
Tremendous
films?
effect. Psycho is really a benchmark film in legitimizing the show of violence to regular movie house audiences. It's funny because Psycho inherently is not that violent a film. It looks much more violent than it is.
By today's standards, the original Psycho may seem tame. Its shower scene may look like a bloodbath, but nowhere do we actually see the villain's knife pierce the victim's body. These days, we're a lot more visual in the violence we show on screen, and at least one producer says that makes for a formula which works.
Knives don't necessarily have to be metal. They can be the teeth of a shark. They can be the teeth of an alien creature in a spaceship. But the pain, the feeling, is something that if it's worked into a decent plot, tends to work.
I like it because it's gory and scary. It keeps me in suspense.
Wow.
You like scary movies?
Yes.
Why?
Because I am a scary movie.
But others who say our society is violent enough don't like all the blood and guts they see on the screen.
I think the more recent rash of what is called splatter films or slice and dice films, not very good. Not very good at all.
Well, some people call those movies art, and others say they are strictly exploitation. But the scary movies that Americans seem to enjoy do reflect a lot about our culture. And tomorrow we'll look at some of the ways art imitates life on the screen of today's frightening films. Sue?
Right, thank you, Jane. As we continue along today, we'll talk with actor Tom Conti and Jets quarterback Richard Todd. And Pia tells us all about the new Broadway extravaganza, La Cage aux Folles.
Coming up next, Liz Smith is back from vacation, and we'll be back in a minute.